I may still do that. I'll wet sand it and paint it again anyway. Anyway, I'm real pleased with the way it turned out. Well, we're gonna give this a try. I cleaned my little gun out here. I don't know how well it's gonna work. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Atomizing it very well. But I try to paint it here where I don't really care too much first. Very good job of atomizing it. No. Open as far as I can on it. Smells pretty good. As you can see there up close, it's not really atomizing very well. Mostly because this gun is so small that it's not really letting a lot of air pressure out. Still got quite a bit of paint. I'm going to try to thin this a little bit and see what it gets. Well, that was the secret. I put about a quarter thinner in here, and it's spraying much better. You can see I'm getting a real good job right in here. See how glossy it is. And before it was just too thick to go through that little gun. But I've got it pretty good all over in there. I use this, I don't know what, 4 or 5 ounces. And I'm getting it pretty good inside there. Probably need to use a bigger gun and more pressure. And I tried it here on this lip. Of course, some of this still needs to be sanded and everything else, but you can see how it's just kind of splattering here. It's not really covering very well. But I went over this with the thin mix. That's one coat, and it sprayed real nice. So it looks like that's going to be the trick. I'll have to thin it a little before I do it, but looks like it did a good job. Pretty color. A little darker than I thought, but it looked really good with a white stripe down the middle of it. Anyway, this is done as what I was after. And I can see all of my problems with not sanding and primer and this and that and the other thing. But don't look like I'm going to have to buy another gun at all. I just have to thin my paint a little. And on the inside of these buckets here, I'm just going to take a big gun and give it another hit inside there. Right now I didn't want to mix up a lot of paint, but as far as a test looks real nice. That paint's going on just as nice as you want. It's going to flow out, be real glossy. Yeah. And keep in mind again, this wasn't even sanded. This was just shot with primer and allowed to dry. So when it goes on the sanded car, it'll look real good. This has been drying for maybe a half hour or so. And you can see it just really glossy. I didn't even blow this off with an air gun to get the dirt off of it. And turned out really nice. I can see this, the rust pits in it. I need to have to do a little bit more work on it, because this one here is right on top, so it's got to be, you know, perfectly flat. And this I can wet sand this paint once it's dry, and probably ought to do a little more work on this bottom piece. Well, I still have to grind all that Bondo off the back, but yeah, I can just wet sand this whole piece down here and make it look good. It's amazingly glossy. For you can see a lot of dirt in it, but for an inner fender piece, it looks really nice. So I learned a couple things: how to mix the paint for one, and when I go to paint the car, I'll hit the inside of those buckets with high pressure. At least I got some paint in there now, and I think that'll be good enough. I'm really pleased with the way that it turned out. Looks real nice, especially this top part. Just shiny as you could want. A little dirt, but like I say, I didn't prep this at all. And the rest of the car will be wet sanded, and this was just straight primer shot, paint right over the top of it. And that was part of the test here I was doing, to see how well this paint was gonna work. Now I can see in here I should have, at least in this part, looks like it's almost dust free right now. I should have just made this perfectly flat so it would shine like a mirror. I may still do that. I'll wet sand it and paint it again anyway. Anyway, I'm real pleased with the way it turned out. And of course, like I said, I gotta redo that piece. I can see rust pit holes all over it. Yeah, we'll just glazing putty that up. Makes that old ugly radiator look bad. But this will be plenty good. At least I can at this point, I was just trying to paint it before I put my brackets on and put the rest of the stuff on it. But now that I look at it, I'll wait till tomorrow and fix that piece, wet sand it, 400 grit or something, and I'll paint this again, and I'll try to get this, you know, really nice. And I can see here kind of how it was going on. This here's this again wasn't wet sanded. This was just primer. You can actually hear it when you rub it. It's rough, but the whole idea was to get paint on it and see what it was going to cover. But it's a nice color. I think the whole car is going to look good. Darker than I thought, but that'll make the white stripes stick out more.